Bad boy.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You've tuned in to the flyest sports and entertainment podcast in all the land. This is StatlinesMatter. I'm your host, as always, Mark Stewart, here with my partner, Rob Hunter Jr. Like always, I would ask you to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell because we need you to do that so you'll know when we're doing stuff, particularly going live on Wednesday nights with a fantasy football show to give you all the things you need and to win your fantasy game for the week or your daily fantasy. So with that being said, Mr. Rob, how you doing today, Mr. Hunter?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Like, you know.
You look good.
Well, I'm out here trying to do my best. I think I'm excited about the NBA.
Yes.
We're going to be starting the NBA in, I guess, a week in a day.
I don't know.
Tuesday?
I have no idea. You know, because it's funny, like, I'm getting the alerts and stuff on my phone, scores, and I'm like, did they start?
Right. No, I think it gets started for real in another week or so.
Didn't nobody tell me, you know.
Yeah, I want to say like 17th.
My son came downstairs and he was like, yo, I want to watch the Nets, their first exhibition, the Nets against Philly. That's who it was. And, he's like, yo, how do I find it? How do I get it? So I hooked him up, got the game on for him. And it was refreshing to see the guys out there running up and down the court.
Yeah, yeah.
Seeing Kyrie, seeing Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, I didn't care who was doing what, who was missing.
Right.
I just like to see them brothers getting up and down the court. It's been a while, so.
Well, what I want to talk about today is very much an NBA topic. It's dominating the discussion right now. Draymond Green, you know, one of our show favorites, who comes up in our conversation from time to time. He's definitely a polarizing figure, I would say, because he seems to sort of run counter to the culture that exists in Golden State. There's a certain, when your leader has a certain temperament, his is sort of antithetical to that, but interestingly enough, it works for them in certain situations, but it also backfires. And so, if in case you haven't heard, in a practice where the video has now leaked, Draymond gets into an altercation with Jordan Poole and basically punches him out like they were at a nightclub in Atlanta. And now it's the fallout of what's going on with that team. And so bring us up to date on sort of where in the moment that this is and how does Golden State get this thing back on track and get going for the season.
I guess the last thing that I saw was Draymond was taking some time away, probably a week or so from the team. But they finished practice from what I understand from that altercation. Jordan Poole finished practice. Which was, I guess the altercation, some reports had surfaced about Jordan Poole coming in with a little bit more arrogance than normal, which, some people say was true. Steph says it's not. If you saw Steph's interview, he said that it wasn't, what else is he going to say? But Jordan Poole finished practice, and I was thinking to myself, Mark, he may have had two call-ins. Because he got hit with the one-hitter quitter and finished practice. Like, all these guys out here trying to box now. All these guys. He got a real chin on him. I mean, because the punch looked debilitating.
No, he squared him up.
Yeah, I'd have still been down there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd have still been called everybody. The ambulance, called not the paramedics, the ambulance. What you call the ambulance? Call them.
That's very Atlanta of you. Ambulance.
I need that. Yeah, I was like, he finished practice. He finished practice, and Golden State has come out and said there's nothing to really see here. We're going to handle it internally, which, I released the little vid saying I believe that's the way it should have been handled. You handle that type of thing internally, particularly with the player of Draymond and what he means to that organization and what he means to their success on the court. I believe that's the way it should have been handled. Jordan Poole's still going to get his money. Jordan Poole's still going to get his money,
and Draymond's not from Golden State.
And if you think about if they go on to go back to back. I think this is one of the moments you can look at as part of that, how the Golden State decided to handle it, which was not make it a big deal. They chose, I believe, veteran chemistry over what probably should have been a suspension.
Well, so a couple things. I think he did get suspended, but I think they're really like walking light with this, because they were like, you need to go home. That's suspended, but they didn't call it suspended. They were like, how you gonna get a mental health break for punching somebody in the face? Like, you don't need a mental health break.
Yeah, he didn't get punched.
Yeah, you need a suspension.
He did the punching.
Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, I don't like the way Golden State handled it. I think if it was no video and the video hadn't leaked, then it's like not nearly as public. But now you look as an organization, you look weak, because now the culture is altered within that team. Because I think one of the things that people are getting a little bit confused, in my view, is that this ain't Jordan. This ain't Kobe. This is not a culture setter on the team, and it wasn't competitive. Like, if you're coming through screens and elbows are flying and all this, and it turns into a little bit of a tete-a-tete, if you will, a little scrap, that's one thing. But what I didn't like is that they were, and obviously it stemmed from something that happened on the court, and then Draymond walks over, gets in his face, and then, like natural, Jordan kind of pushes him back, because you're not going to let somebody just walk up in your face. And then Draymond elevates it to a whole other level that was uncalled for. And when you're Draymond, like, and I don't care what nobody says, I think the team could win without him. I think he does some things that are like unique, and he has a high basketball IQ, not taking any of that away. But those skills are found. His skills are not that rare in the league. There's other guys that can do and function as he functions in their offense, particularly at the level in which he shoots the three, which is like non-existent. But he does move the ball. You can run offense through him and set up shooters, but there's other guys who could do that. He's always had that culture on that edge of being too much, like in many ways like a Dennis Rodman, where it can be helping you if you have stability at the top, which they do, or it can tear your team apart if you don't have that stability at the top, or that stability at the top gets tired. And I think he's wearing the team down. You're trying to figure out how to set yourself up for a repeat and to add to a dynasty. And I don't think what he did gives you anything. I think it was cheap, it was lame, and I don't think it helped the team. It didn't help Jordan, because Jordan is clearly ascending as one of the key important members of that team. He's a player. And you sometimes, like, I think Mike hitting Kerr was like we didn't have video of it, so we can't say what it was like. But ultimately, it was like there was one class of player hitting another class of player. That ain't the case in this situation. Jordan is new to the team, but he's about to get paid, and he's a key contributor. Like, he's like what they're planning on doing, he's a big part of, just like Draymond is. And so now you're like, that'd be like Pippen and Rodman getting into it in a sense. And then all of a sudden, now the team is maybe divided. So how do you come back from this in this locker room? Because I'm like, if I'm Jordan Poole and now this is public, and now the team is not publicly backing me, you're on a plane, it's 20 guys, 30 guys on a plane going city to city. It ain't like an NFL locker room where it's like you can have different factions. Like, how do you square this? Like, how do they become cool enough to do their jobs and play after you like socked me and made a meme out of me?
Well, I mean, I think they played it 100% correct. You choose the guy that you've already won 3 championships with.
But you already know you're not paying him after
choose
this year, because he asked for a max contract. There's no way they can do it.
Well, yeah, and then maybe you don't have to pay him, but what we're talking about is going back to back. And we're talking about a guy who's a defensive player of the year, 4-time All-Star. You just don't find those guys, defensive player of the year that actually runs point, that distributes the ball, who takes who does a lot of who is probably the king right now in the NBA of skullduggery, the master of basically getting up underneath the other team's skin. So even when he's not snatching boards, even when he's not getting steals, NBA league leader in steals in 2017, he's still finding ways to help you win, even when his 3 ain't falling, which is never. But I think that Jordan Poole just gonna have to wear that. He's just gonna have to wear it. It's not Scotty and Rodman. It's not that. Jordan Poole was a 6-man. He had a good year last year.
Yeah.
But you're talking about.
But he carried them at times.
But you're talking about. It's basically a 3-headed monster. There. It's Clay, it's Dre, and it's obviously Steph.
How old is Jordan Poole?
Jordan Poole,
he's young.
He's like 23, 22. Yeah, somewhere around there.
He's part of the future if you want to keep winning. And I think if I'm Jordan Poole's agent, I'm really having a real conversation about how they're handling this relative to how we move forward with the Warriors. Because I think for their future, he's more valuable where they're going than Draymond is. Draymond's future is this year.
Yeah, it is. Correct. Yeah, obviously he's towards the end of his arc
with
as a player.
Yeah, I don't even know how old he is.
I believe year 11.
Yeah.
I believe he's entering year 11.
So he might have some time left, but I think unless he comes down on his contract demands, he's done in Golden State. I think he wants to go. Everybody says he wants to go play with LeBron.
I mean, look,
47-year-old LeBron.
Hey, man, did you see him the other? Never mind. Anyway, gosh, man, he's pulling.
Did you see him at his son's birthday party?
No, what happened?
His son had a birthday party that Travis Scott and a host of other rappers was at performing, and he was just as lit as his son. Like, I didn't have no feeling about it. Like, you probably thought it was lit.
Yeah.
It was neutral to me. It was like,
which means it was probably totally awesome. For you not to dislike it means it was totally great.
No, it just depends on your perspective. Like,
of course,
I can tell you from my standpoint, because I don't want to be that lit with my kids.
Why not?
Because they're my kids. I get lit in one part of the world, they get lit in another.
You can't get lit collectively?
Nah. Like, I'm not from that.
You're not from. I want to get excited and lit.
Like, because you know what it is, man. I'm old school in that regard, where it's like your mom and them, they did one thing, your dad and them, and then you did.
So y'all in the den playing cards,
you
smoking,
playing cards and smoking
cool
cigarettes, right? And we over here doing our own thing. Like, I'm from that. You know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah, that was going on. But I actually think, getting back to this Golden State thing, they're definitely choosing a non-public approach. Curry hasn't said much. Clay hasn't said much. Kerr hasn't said much.
It's the Patriot way.
Yeah, and but my thing is this: it's out there. Like, you can't. It's out there.
So for me, that's probably the biggest thing. Who leaked the damn? That's the biggest problem. Who leaked the video? Who leaked the video?
No, that's true. And I remember
leaked.
But you know what's
video?
funny? I saw they go, "Oh, we're doing an investigation to see who leaked the video." I was like, y'all need to do an investigation to see why Draymond's so damn stupid.
But that's what he's not. You know, he's one of the most intelligent players in the league.
No, but I'm not talking about as a player. I'm not talking about as a player. I'm talking about, what do you gain? If you're so smart, then what do you gain from socking him?
I think.
What happens? Like, but you didn't make him better.
No,
you didn't make the team better. You weren't thinking about the team. You were being extraordinarily selfish.
But what you think about when you think about, you know, this fight that we saw, you know, a push and then a punch. Right? Yeah. The only reason we're even talking about it is because the footage was released.
Right. But it's out there.
Practice fights happen all the time. All the time. And I think that the reason why we're looking at it, or the reason why, you know, you and I have obviously two separate opinions. Well, I don't know if it's two separate opinions. I don't think obviously he should have punched him.
Hey, I don't think anybody.
I don't think that. I think the level of do you have to choose between Jordan Poole and Draymond? I don't think that's even a choice if there's no footage, or that's even not even a topic of conversation. You know, when Mike did it, it was leadership. When Draymond did it, it's divisive.
But who's doing it and what the context is does matter.
The context is stop popping all that whatever he was popping and he got clapped.
Nah,
sit down somewhere.
Man, this ain't the club.
And they can move on. They moved on. If they moved on from KD, they can move on from Poole.
No, because nobody physically.
Like Jordan Poole ain't.
Nobody physically.
Jordan Poole ain't KD.
No, I'm not saying that.
So they've seen that kind of guy before, and they moved on from a much better version of Jordan Poole.
Okay, I think maybe the element that we're not seeing eye to eye on here is, I think there's a thing called chemistry that happens when you're trying to create a championship culture, and
they already got that.
Right, but he put that in jeopardy. There was nothing that he did.
He's a part of that culture.
Hold on, let me finish though. he is a part of the culture with the way he plays the game. But there's also things that he does. There's things that he says on his podcast. There's things that happen away from the floor that are not necessarily supporting what the chemistry is. And now you put a cherry on top by him socking a key player in the locker room. And now you put what you've done, because if I'm Jordan Poole, like, I can sit back and go, yeah, I'm just going to eat this and take this and whatever. But why? Why? For what? I didn't jeopardize team chemistry. I didn't walk across the court and get in his face. I didn't sock him. So why is it now suddenly on Jordan Poole to take the higher road to protect chemistry? Because if he sits there and goes, look, I'm not cool with you, we got a problem, and they have that tension, that's going to impact the team. He didn't do it.
Well, I mean, then they'll just move on from him. I mean,
but I don't think they're going to move on from him.
If they moved on from
Why would
KD,
you move on?
You could move on from Jordan Poole.
No, they didn't move on. KD left via free agency.
I mean, yeah, but obviously,
he opted
left.
out.
But I mean, but that was
But
the
you
whole,
do realize, just for the context, that wasn't his choice.
But that was the whole discussion that you and I were having. Who do you choose?
But there was no choice for Golden State, and I think that's something that you said that I think was factually wrong.
He left.
That was factually wrong in your quick hitter. The organization didn't choose between Draymond and Durant. Durant left because of chemistry, because all of a sudden there's a chemistry problem and he had the ability to leave. Golden State didn't have a say in that matter. He had to opt out. He chose to opt out and he got out of there.
Yeah, because Draymond wasn't going nowhere. They wasn't going to trade him. They wasn't going to do any of that.
That's all supposition. Like the only option that was on the table for KD was to opt out, and he did. Golden State had no say, so they were powerless in that. So to represent that Golden State made a choice of Draymond over KD is not right. To your point, though, what they could have done was acted against Draymond in such a way that it showed KD that we side with you, but even with that, there was no guarantee that he was still going to not opt out.
Correct, and I think,
which was 100% player's choice.
But what we're talking about, what we were talking about is, yes, the organization, because there's things you could do to move on from a player. There's things you can move guys, you can move pieces around. They could have suspended. They could have done a lot of things to show KD we have your back. They didn't do any of that.
Right, but but in fairness, that wasn't a physical altercation either.
Right. Well. Yes, there was. It definitely it didn't end up in punches, but there was some little nose to nose action. But obviously, obviously didn't rise to.
And you know what the funny thing about that play is, and again, about the thing that caused the dust up
between
with
KD
is that Draymond completely screwed the pooch at the end of a game.
He did.
Doing way too much. And then when he got called on it, he did the typical, well, you're not going to punk me, you're not going to blah, 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 and tried to go up. And I think that's what happened in this case. Whatever they were doing, jawing back and forth or whatever, what players do, he elevated it. He walked across the baseline, got in a man's face, and then socked him. Every action that elevated, whatever happened that we didn't see, was taken on by Draymond, which we've seen in numerous cases. If you go back to the year he got suspended in the finals, you know, everybody tends to focus on the fact that he got suspended and it ultimately, you know, depending on your perspective, impacted or didn't impact. But the real issue was the things that he was doing in earlier rounds that accumulated the points that said that was the time he was going to get a suspension. Kicking my man from, I think it was Memphis, kicking him in the groin, like that gave him points. He was doing things all through the playoffs that was, again, affecting their ability to win. So it's a fine line. It's that razor's edge of that he lives on that I don't think really impacts the team one way or the other. His play does, but all the extra antics, they're not hyping anybody up. Curry doesn't need that. Clay doesn't need that. He's just, if he rebounds, passes, and does the dirty work, they win. You don't have to kick nobody in the balls. You don't have to punch teammates in the face. You're not that guy.
So I think that the way that he plays, given all of those antics, given all of the extracurricular things that, you know, are, as you would put it, on the razor's edge, has ended up in 4 championships. It does affect the way the team plays. It does result in actual wins, and so the results
are antics do or the play does?
All of it. The results are 4 titles.
Break it down
with him. The results are 4 titles.
No, I get that, but break it down on how you feel the antics contribute to the championship?
Because it's part of the way that he plays, part of his personality. You think about the way that Rodman played, contributed to 5 championships. Right. All of the getting inside the other team's head, because they start to end up focusing on him. He got Jaylen Brown off of his muscle for a second, off of his square for a second, and all of those things. They end up focusing on him as opposed to what they need to do to win the game. I mean,
if it gets you suspended, if it messes up team chemistry,
championships. So
yeah, but
it's already a
he's
dynasty.
A contributor.
So the way that he's behaved has already yielded the fruits of his antics, the fruits of the way that he plays has yielded 4 championships.
I respectfully disagree with that. I respectfully disagree with the hypothesis that behavior in and of itself is a direct correlation to their championships. What he does, he has a high basketball IQ. We agree on that. He does the dirty work that allows those guys to be free and play and let Steph work on what. And Steph is a defensive liability, so he makes up for some of that. We're not arguing that. I just don't think, and it's the same way I felt about Dennis Rodman. We survived, as Bulls fans, we survived the antics of Dennis Rodman. We loved his rebounding, but when he ran off to Vegas, that didn't help us win. Like when Mike had to go get him out of Vegas and bring him back, that wasn't helping us. That wasn't part of the culture. That was the championship culture. I don't believe there is any upside, any uptick, any benefit of any kind that the team got from him punching Jordan Poole. 0.
We're not arguing that. We're just basically arguing who's the most, at least for me. The point that I'm making is the most important piece, and I've said this obviously for years now, is that Draymond Green is the most pivotal piece in that the way that team is constructed. He's the reason why they win those championships, and I've said that and I've maintained that.
Yeah, I would disagree. I think Mr. Curry has something to do with that.
But without Draymond, they're not winning those championships.
I mean, we just won't know that. But I'll tell you this. Like, you got to have Curry.
No, you got
you got to. I mean, I don't.
Well, okay.
I think you can survive without Draymond, but you got to have Curry.
Yes. you got to have the guy who changed the game. Yeah. You got to have him. Yeah. But I think you obviously know. I guess what I'm restating the point is that he allows them, and I guess you said the same thing. He allows them
to be free,
to be fancy free.
Yeah. So in your view, even though I don't know, you're not obviously not agreeing with him being punched, but where do you go from here if you're Golden State? He takes his mental health break. They're not calling it that. I'm calling it that. Time away. And do you see his apology?
No, I didn't.
He had an apology and it was weak. It was like,
was it filmed or was it a statement?
It was live.
Okay. On his podcast or?
No, it was the team.
Hey man, I'm sorry for knocking.
But he said something that let me, like, it just nullified it. You know, somebody go, man, I apologize if I offended you. Then you're basically saying, like, I didn't, I don't think I did nothing, but you do. So therefore,
I'm apologizing that you got offended.
Somebody asked him a question and he said, I'm not going to get into details because if I do, it might change opinions. And I'm not here to change opinions. Like, instant wrong answer in my view, because you're literally sitting here going, although I did what I did and you're saying you're taking responsibility, you're saying that if I speak on it, then you're going to see it different and you're going to side with me and not with Jordan Poole. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if I own the team and I'm looking at it from that perspective, or I'm the GM, I'm literally got my head in my hands going, this guy just doesn't fucking get it.
No, he from Saginaw. I mean, they're not the most. Have you ever seen any part of Saginaw?
No.
It's very unimpressive.
Have you?
Yes.
Why?
No, because my son had a teammate that was actually from Saginaw.
Oh, okay.
And
you saw pictures or you went?
No. God, no. I never been. Oh, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. I just want to so some things you want to be thankful for. I just want to take time out of our important podcast to say, Lord, thank you for never ever letting me go to Saginaw. But you know what? You did let me go to Detroit, so I got a little beef with that. But anyway, point is, they're just not. It's a very, lowbrow, if you will. It's very simple people, but very aggressive.
Well, then that makes Draymond an amazing ambassador.
Oh no! What I've said this since year one of our podcast. Draymond Green, he's supposed to be working at like a dry cleaner somewhere. He's supposed to be. His name alone equals they messing with my hours at work. They messing with my check. Like Draymond
Well, he's certainly
Green,
bringing that mentality to the Bay Area.
He's the most successful Draymond Green of all the Draymond Greens that ever live.
I say that's
yeah, he's easily. And he got a Smile Direct endorsement.
Where do you go from here if you
like I said, I think that you handle it at least the way that it appears you guys are handling it. You want to handle it internally. And I think that, obviously you try to, you set up, you do all.
What does handling internally look like?
Well, whatever.
For Jordan Poole.
Oh, man, it's interesting because if I own the Golden State Warriors, obviously you want to treat him like you said, like a important
you're in a contract negotiation
of going forward. Yeah. I mean, you got to give him a little extra for wearing that. There's a tax to come along with that.
I would say that.
Yeah, I
mean, if I was representing him, I'd certainly be operating from that place.
I got abused at work.
Yeah,
you guys.
I'm about to sue.
I'm about to sue this.
And so we clear. I'm calling the FBI. I'm that guy. Like I'm calling the FBI. Yeah. I'm pressing federal and local and state charges.
But you have a chance to win your 5th championship in a row, and I think,
not in a row.
I mean, not in a row, but back to back. But I think that you still have the core. Everybody is relatively still in their prime. Obviously, these guys are approaching the end. All of them, the 3 main guys, and I think that you try to maximize that. The same way that I believe, the Bulls did at the end of their, and who knows how many championships they could have won if they would have stayed together. And I think it's important to realize that as an organization, you want to look at what the Bulls, the errors of their ways, with how Krause was handling Michael and Phil. And you want to at least try to see, okay, because it's rare, it's hard to get, to this point. You're entering rare air, 5th, 6th, 7th championship. Obviously health has derailed a lot of their prime years. So you just want to see.
But in a weird way too, I think health has allowed them to extend it because they got so bad that they were able to get some high draft picks and replenish. And it actually might end up, I'm not saying it's going to lead to more championships, but it'll definitely lead to many more years of competitiveness because you've got players that can play, that are coming up behind these guys, that are learning a championship culture, which again, Draymond decided to put in jeopardy with his club antics.
Hey, was it clean, effective punching? he scored.
If I was a GM of that team or the owner of that team, I'd be so upset with him. I would be so upset.
And rightfully so. I think and rightfully so. But again, we talk about how many fights have we not seen, but heard about, or scuffles, or in practice. And I think the part about this that makes it, when you get footage of something,
anything,
like the change, obviously the dynamic of the Ray Rice suspension. Sure. He was suspended 4 games and 3 games, and then it went for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Once the footage came out, it was literally the rest.
Because
of your
he punched his wife in the face, knocked her unconscious, and drug her into the elevator like a caveman. and yes, but here's the crazy thing: the NFL saw that footage.
Really?
I think so.
I did not know that.
It just hadn't been made public.
I did not know
When they made
that.
public, they redirected.
Hey, TMZ will break your career.
Yeah, they will.
You got to have a plug over there. Do not release that footage.
I definitely...
I thought Kareem Hunt was going to be out of the league for longer.
Yeah.
Kicking that woman while she was on the ground or on the floor.
Well, and what's the guy... what's Mixon?
Joe Mixon. Yeah.
Wasn't it him? Didn't he punch the girl?
The girl smacked him. He smacked her back. And he left the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Video of that.
Yeah, video.
He survived that.
Yeah, he did. He
got a second contract.
He's thriving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His team isn't.
But when you
they're struggling a little bit.
They really are. But when you see the footage makes things totally different. And that just over the years we've seen where once you like, I think, look at all of the George Floyd incident, not to go that far down, but there have been, I've heard numerous reports from personally and also obviously, throughout the media where that's happened before.
Yeah.
But somebody took out their cell phone, and so, just the footage gives it how you like your favorite word, context.
Yeah. Context is everything. I think that you're right about that footage making it public would bother me tremendously. That would bother me at the exact same.
That would be my first order of business.
I put him 1A, 1B.
This is my house.
Yeah, I put him 1A, 1B because you're right. If we don't see that, it's easier for Kerr and the GM and everyone to go to Poole and go, listen, let's put this behind us. He's sorry, blah, blah, blah. Now he's got to answer this. Every stadium, every opposing team, everybody, even just the way people look at him as like, and he didn't, I think at the end of the day, he did nothing wrong. Somebody walked up on you, you're going to clear space. It's natural. It's a natural reaction. And I don't think he should. I think if you're on a team with somebody, you shouldn't think, like I think Jamel Hill was like, it wasn't a sucker punch because, if somebody walk up on you in the street, you're not in the fucking street. You're at practice with a teammate coming off a championship season. I shouldn't have to anticipate a club punch.
Well, I feel
like if he had a bottle of champagne in his head, he'd have cracked him over the head.
But after you push him, what you think gonna happen? Like, what do you think after you push him?
Because you're pushing him because he literally walked in your face.
But what do you think's gonna happen?
You're literally just clearing space.
No, he gave him a good two-hand shove now.
But at the same time, it's like,
what you think gonna happen?
Well, what I'm saying is, what do you think is gonna? Why are you in my face?
Because once somebody enters your space aggressively, that's time for you to get off. He should have went from the push. He probably should have got his off first.
I just totally disagree with that. Like, we talking about a team. We are not in the streets.
Yeah, but what was going on?
That's a street reaction. What you just described to me was a street reaction.
What was going on between them two obviously was not a very team oriented. Whatever Jordan Poole was has been saying, because he had that reputation coming up from the G League. That he
runs his mouth.
Yeah, and I guess
But again, I mean, not to bring this all the way back to our youth sports, but to me, if you start to calm that down, like it's that mentality that we talking, we jaw-jacking, we talking shit, and then it elevates, and now there's something at stake. Now there's something that...
See, I don't think there's anything at stake.
There's a lot at stake.
I think everything's fine.
Everything is not fine.
It's fine.
What world, if me and you work together, we work at a studio, I punch you out, how long we gonna be cool?
What?
Like, seriously, like...
Well, no,
because
okay.
even if somebody comes to you, management or somebody comes and say, man, Rob, you know how he is, man. You know how he a hothead. You know how he get down. We gonna be cool.
I shouldn't have made him. I know he's under a lot of stress anyway.
Because then ultimately, if enough people come to you with the, hey man, you just got to understand how Draymond is, it looks like they're siding with him when you did nothing wrong.
I think the footage is the thing that we're discussing. I think, like I said, this doesn't exist.
But that did happen, though. Yeah. We didn't imagine that.
But we're talking. But it's really more of the footage because, like I said, if that happened and there was no footage, then you're jeopardizing nothing.
Yeah, but there is footage, and it did happen.
Yeah, but my point is, I'm not letting the fact that there's footage of it. I don't think that's affecting the team chemistry. I don't think any of that stuff.
But I'm asking
my opinion of the footage.
I'm asking you
they're gonna handle it entirely, and they probably gonna win it again.
But Jordan is not looking at that, and shouldn't be looking at that as going, well, because there was footage, but if it wasn't no footage, I'd calm down about it.
I don't think his opinion matters that much. I think the opinion of Clay, Steph, and Dre, those are the guys you got to be focused on.
But how do you know?
Replace
but how do you know Steph don't feel no way about it?
I don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's chemistry.
We don't.
Because you don't know what the dynamics of the relationships
you think that's
are
the first
between
time
players.
that I'm just asking.
You think Steph and Draymond hang out?
I'm asking, do you think that's the first time Draymond and clock somebody in practice? If you had to guess.
Again, not to sound super repetitive, but context is everything. Like, it's not out of the realm. And like you said, I think players fight in all sports. Altercations happen. What's the context? Like, are we in the board? Did I catch a straight elbow? Like, are we scrapping? Are we going for a loose ball and then it dusts up?
Would it make a difference if you knew what Poole said? If we actually knew? Because we don't know what he said. If he said some extra slick foul stuff, he might
unless he said something about his wife or something like if it was just normal par for the course basketball smack talk, I don't think, and I've said this to you before about some of the things that we've seen in youth sports, there's nothing that can happen in a youth sports game to cause somebody to attack a referee, or attack an opposing coach or anything like that.
There's nothing came close.
There's nothing that can be said. I feel the same way about this. If we're on the same team and we're part of a championship chemistry or championship core, there's nothing. There's something. There's family, wives, mothers, kids out of bounds. But everything else, like even if we dust up, the punch took it up a notch.
Yeah. So if you Jordan Poole, how you gonna hold your woman that night now? after that footage out there, your woman has seen you get cold cock. Like you can't even like make an angry face at her. I'm gonna get Draymond on you.
It's ridiculous.
How you You can't even raise your voice no more.
I think you can raise your voice just fine.
I'm gonna get Draymond. Show that footage. Listen, I'm gonna get Draymond. I
think anybody.
Don't make me go get Draymond.
I think anybody can get sucker punched, and I think he got sucker punched.
He's seen him. Nah, he squared up on him. Sucker punches if you ain't looking.
No, it's a sucker punch. Is like if you nigga, we on the same team.
If you push me and I hit you in the face, that's not a sucker punch.
But now you're yanking it out of context. This man walked from across the court. He walked halfway across the baseline, walked into this man's face.
But you act like he tiptoed. He snuck up behind.
No, it's not snuck up behind you, but like
he squared up on him like, yo, hey, you keep on and you push him and then he got clocked. That's how fights happen. That's literally how they work.
In the street.
That's how they work.
At the lunchroom in school.
So how does the fight happen in a gym or on a championship team? Like is it supposed to happen differently? That's how fights happen.
I think that it absolutely, and this is a good place to break. I'll say this and then you can have the last word. You got 2 millionaires.
Multi-millionaires, yeah.
You have a gym full of millionaires on a team worth billions. It's not the street. It's not the lunchroom. It's not the club. Draymond, in my opinion, brought something that didn't belong into the gym. If I'm trying to organize a core to go for a common goal, he did not help that. He did not add to the culture. He subtracted from it. It's not leadership, what he exhibited. It's the opposite of leadership. I don't think there's any place for it. If you're protecting a teammate, if we're battling the other team, we're going to fight, I get that. But internally, shooting in the circle, I'm not with it. And like maybe I'll be on the island by myself because I'm not into some of what the code is on how these things are done. But if I'm trying to build a championship core and extend that, and Jordan Poole's a part of that, the one thing I would understand, if I'm GM of that team or our owner, I have to go make this right with Jordan, because what I'm not going to do is just be one of many people asking Jordan to accept these terms for the sake of the team without anybody saying anything to the person who perpetrated it and elevated it. So that's my take, but you can have the last word.
Jordan Poole, after basketball is over, you may want to consider a career in boxing.
He won't need
That's all I got. I mean, because I agree with mostly everything you said. I just think that the chemistry is. I just don't see it being in jeopardy. I think that's my only takeaway. But I don't
only because you don't know how the allegiances break down in the locker room.
And not only that, I don't know what Jordan Poole said, and there's still the others because people can say Draymond's crazy, but I don't think Draymond's walking over there unprovoked. I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think Jordan Poole said some slick stuff, and they went at it, and I think it was just I mean, you see fights happen all the time in the locker room throughout sports. Normally, somebody gets the worst of it, it gets broken up, and you move on.
Yeah.
The footage, it's embarrassing for Jordan Poole, and I think that hopefully,
I think it's embarrassing for Draymond Green.
I don't.
What's the upside in him?
I'm not saying it's upside. It's just like, he got clocked. Like, I guess.
Why is it embarrassing for Poole and not for Green?
Because he got the life knocked out of him. Like,
what are we in high school?
That's embarrassing. As a man, that's embarrassing.
I think Draymond Green's behavior is embarrassing, not just to himself, to Curry, to Clay, to the team, to the organization, and the league.
See, no,
because you know what he looks like? He looks like a street thug going to punch somebody in an environment where only millionaires exist, or mostly millionaires exist.
They're playing a child's game.
How?
Because it's basketball. That's a child's game.
When has that been a child's game? That's a grown man game that kids play.
Basketball is a child's game.
Since
Football
when?
is a child's game. They play a sport for a living. Why is that
a child's game?
They're not in the operating room.
So when these games are
they're in the operating room, they
makes
play
it a child's
basketball for a living. That's a child's game.
Why is that a child's game?
Because it's basketball. That's what children do.
So when the game was invented, they invented it for kids?
Most games are invented for kids.
I would totally disagree with that.
They playing a child's game. They live in a totally different universe. And when people and teammates have been getting in fights ever since they were children, that doesn't go away because you get grown.
It goes away because you're like, again, this one would agree to disagree on, but they're playing a game with billions of dollars at stake every night. When people hit that turnstile, paying for floor seats, I've had floor seats here at the Hawks. I know what it costs. That's not kids' money. That's grown man money that pay for them seats. Every cocktail that you buy courtside is grown man money. Every charter jet that goes from one city to another, transporting that team, that's grown man shit. That's not kid shit in my view. So there's things at stake. There's chemistry at stake, and championships drive the value of a team. Chemistry and culture drives you to what a championship team is made of. Draymond Green's behavior put all that in jeopardy, and it's somebody's responsibility. Kerr, the GM whose name I don't know, the owner whose name I don't know, to get it back. Because you know what didn't happen? Draymond's quote-unquote leadership, his bullshit apology didn't sort it out. I don't know what he says to Jordan to sort it out, but if he doesn't say the right things to his teammate, somebody still got to make it right with him, with Jordan Poole. Because I don't care if Jordan Poole was just up from the G League. You still got to sort it out. And now that you're in negotiation to extend him and make him part of your core moving forward, somebody's got to make this right. That's the part that's not lost on me. Like, as much as we want to sit back and go, oh, you know, this type of thing happens every day, context is everything. There's a context to who Jordan is on the team moving forward, who Draymond is historically and moving forward, and what you're going for as a unit. So all those things, the balance, the delicate balance of that has been thrown off, and you already, if you're the coach, have to guard against complacency. So there's a lot of layers that are in here that you got to deal with as an organization that Draymond took it upon himself very selfishly to throw into the mix beyond the things of just repeating anyway. Like, repeating is hard. Ask the Lakers, who came off the bubble ring and then had to come back the next year. Repeating is hard, and he made it harder.
I just think it was a fight amongst teammates that, unfortunately, the footage got leaked, and I think that's the problem. The footage got leaked, but teammates fight all the time, whether it's, you know, somebody like Draymond, who's obviously, you know, a big part of what they do, defensive player of the year, all that stuff, or whether it's, you know, two people. I mean, again, you know, Michael Jordan hit, in his own words, the weakest or the smallest player on the team. Mm-hmm. You know, there's no footage of that, so we're like, did he jeopardize championship chemistry when that happened? Obviously not. So, but I think the footage is what we're dealing with. I think I haven't been a part of a whole lot of locker rooms, but I've been a part of a number, and I've been in fights in locker rooms, and, you know, obviously we weren't going for a championship though. So
maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why I feel.
Maybe that's why y'all didn't win nothing. Yeah, well, I'll let that be the last word.
I lost.
No, good debate on that. Like always, we thank you for listening. We definitely ask you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel. Also, you can find all of our episodes on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And man, thank you for this good conversation. Yeah. Well done. Well done.
We messed up the hand.
I know we did. We Tiger Woods it, didn't we? We did the. Hey, what?
But at least the dude he was trying to dap up was white. You know,
right?
They gonna mess that up.
But you mixed though.
Oh. But that's it. That was it. Yeah. That's my fault.
It is. I'm putting that one on you. Well, listen. I'm Mark Stewart. This is Rob Hunter. This is StatLinesMatter.
Bad boy. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face.